Magnates Media is a YouTube channel with almost 1.3 million subscribers, and they're extremely popular for their editing style and having some of the best editing on YouTube. But unfortunately, a lot of people think that you need Adobe After Effects or some paid program to make these edits, but you don't. I use Davinci Resolve, which you can use for completely free. And as you can see on the screen here, I copied one of their edits. So
how does a boy born into poverty become the richest man in the world? Andrew Carnegie is the personification of the American dream, an extraordinary...
So this animation is comprised of mainly 3 parts, you can see here. So make sure you stick around to the end. The project files and assets are going to be in the first link in the description. You just have to join the group. It's $47 a month. And in the video, I mentioned everything that you get when you join the group. And in addition to that, if you see my last video, you also get the project file and assets for how to edit like Nat Jongsla. So go check that out. It's first link in the description. Firstly, we'll go over the first part. You can see I don't have a bunch of layers because all of my animations are done within Fusion clips. This is very simple to do. You just open up the toolbox in the effects tab and just look up Fusion composition, and then you can drag it here. And this is just your blank canvas for animations basically. And I also have a zoom in transition onto here. I'm gonna need to put it at 1/4 resolution just so I can play through without it lagging. But as you can see, the zoom in animation is just the closest thing that I could find on Davinci Resolve to what Magnates Media did in the original edit. And the zoom in is found in Fusion in video transitions. You just search up zoom in, it's right here. And then I dragged it onto the composition. And inside the composition, so I have the split view here. One side of the view, if you can see, I just need to click this button in the top right to get the split view. And the first panel, I just press 1 on this merge 3D node, and I can see everything in the merge 3D. So this is what it looks like in 3D space, and then this is what it looks like in 2D space. On the media out here, I've pressed 2. So this is what the final product is going to look like. And just starting from the beginning, we have the background here. So this media in 1 is just the closest background I could find. I just tried to look for similar backgrounds. I couldn't find the exact one, of course. And then I did some color correcting. So let me press 2 on here to show you what it looks like. This is what it looked like before, and then this is after some color correcting. If I pull up the inspector tab, these color curves, I just added these 2 points and then highlighted them and pressed S to smooth it out. After that, I've added lens distort. So you can just copy my settings on here. And you can see if I go before the lens distort and then after I added it, it just gives it a bit of a different look. And then I added a glow, and you can copy my settings. I'm pretty sure it's the default, I'm not really sure, but this just highlights the light coming in through the windows a bit more. And that is onto a image plane 3D, which you can find right here on the toolbar, or just search it up by pressing Shift Space or Control Space if you're on Windows, and then you can just search up image plane 3D. And this will put it onto its own plane in 3D space, and it is the furthest back here, so you can use these 3D controls. And then after that, we have this PNG of like a boy, because it's talking about how does a boy born into poverty. So for this, I just looked up boy silhouette, I think. Something like that. I just try to find the most similar thing. And of course, it's not actually this low quality. I just have it in playback. So dragged it in, then put it onto an image plane. Again, if you don't want to go find all of these assets for yourself, you can just join the group and you will get access to all my assets that I used. Now after that, we have this teddy bear. I just took it straight from the Magnates Media video because I couldn't find anything that similar. So what I did is just took a screenshot of it and then I cut it out using Photoshop, but you can use like a free one such as Pixlr. That's completely fine. Or just like a background remover website. Some good ones are remove.bg or erase.bg. You can see I use this polygon to cut out some stuff. There's like some extra bits that I didn't want in there, but it doesn't really matter because you can't really see it in the final product. And of course, if you can see in 3D space, this is in front of the boy and the boy is in front of the background. And then you have this text here in between. So that's what we're going to get to next. On this image plane, we have this orange text. So you can see this is the color, and the font that I used was Quebec Serial Black. It's just the closest one that I could find to the one they used in the actual video. This was the size. And then for the animation, because I did notice there was like a typing in animation. I basically right clicked on this text box and then I clicked on follower here. Obviously it's grayed out because I already have a follower on here. And what a follower is like a modifier. So you can see if I go into the modifiers tab, basically something that you can apply to the text where you can do one animation to like the first letter and then we'll follow on all the other letters or all the other words right after it. So in this case, I just have it going from 0 opacity to full opacity, and then all of the other letters will follow after it. So how you do this is on frame 0, you want to go to the shading tab and then put a keyframe on the opacity at 0 and make sure you're in the modifiers tab, by the way, and on this follower tab. And then I went 3 frames forward and dragged the opacity to full. So it's just a opacity animation. And if you go back onto timing, if you have it on this exact timing, it should basically do the same animation for every character that follows after it. And yeah, that's basically how you get the animation. And then I also added a glow. I wanted to make it more of a red glow. This is the closest I could get to the look that they have in the Magnates Media video. So I got rid of the green, the blue, and the alpha channel and just left the red. So it has a little bit of a red glow. And you can copy my settings. Then I just added a ellipse with like a black background. So without this, let's say I wanted to take this out, it's kind of hard to read the text. So that's the reason I added that in. And on the ellipse, I just softened the edge a bit and just merged it behind the text. And then on the next image plane, let's pull up the 3D space again. We have the same set of text nodes. So this is where the second set of text comes in. So first it's how does a boy, and then it's born into poverty. This is just the exact same copy and pasted nodes, except all I did was, of course, change the words, and I also changed the timing of the animation. So if I just had copy and pasted it, both of the text nodes would start at the same time. But what you can do is once you highlight the text one node and you go to the keyframes tab, then you can click this drop down, click zoom to fit, and then you see this animation here. This is the follower animation that I was talking about earlier. You can basically highlight these two like keyframes here. And normally for you, if you just copy and pasted it, it would be at frame 0, but you can actually highlight it here by just clicking and dragging. And then once they like appear as yellow, you can click and drag and move them around to whatever spot that you want. So I moved them to here when he starts to say the next line. And yeah, just the same animation, but at a different time. And that's all the layers. After that, you have to connect them all up to a merge 3D, which will merge them up like the name suggests. And then the merge 3D goes into a renderer 3D, which renders it to like a 2D space. And then after that is when I add some more effects. So this is a particles overlay. You can search one up on YouTube and you could probably find like a particle overlay that has a transparent background, or you can find a green screen and then delta keyer it out. But I used this one and then I used a color corrector to make it orange. So this is what it looks like at first. And then after that, the color corrector makes it orange. Then I added a vignette around it just to create some depth and some camera shake so you can see if I play through it. The camera actually zooms in, and I actually forgot to show the camera animation, but you can see it shakes around because I have this camera shake node in. So for the camera animation, let me go back to my merge 3D node. So with this camera, you can see its field of view and basically what it can see, and it can be moved around and animated. So at the first frame on the camera, I go to the transform node and I put a keyframe on the Z position, which you can see if I move the Z position, this is what it controls. Let me just command Z that. And then also the Z rotation. So you can see that's what it looks like. And I keyframed it at these settings, and then at the end, I zoomed it in. So you can see it goes, the camera goes from back here to here, and it also rotates a little bit. So that's that part explained. After that, we have an adjustment clip, and this is like a transition that I made myself. So an adjustment clip is like another blank canvas. It's kind of hard to explain like the difference between that and a fusion composition, but you could use either or. But on this adjustment clip, if you go into the fusion tab, you can see all it is a white background and the blend is animated. So the blend is basically like the opacity. So it goes from 0 opacity up to full, and then back down when it changes the two scenes, as well as a Gaussian blur doing the same thing. So like no blur, and then in the middle, it's the most blurry. And then at the end, it goes back down. So it's not blurry again. So that's just like a little transition. Now we're gonna go over the second section, and you can see there is like black borders coming in from the top and the bottom, or actually they're moving out. So they start here like this, and they have like jagged edges, and they move out. If you looked at the Magnates Media like original intro that they did, they had something similar to this. And how I created these two borders basically is I did it within a compound clip. So you can see right here. Let me actually pull out this compound clip to show you what it looks like. So it is actually a green screen that I created. And then if I go to decompose in place using clips only, you can see the two clips I used, or actually three. One is a solid color, which is the green background. The reason I made it green is so I could make this into a green screen and key out this middle part. Then on top of that, we have the top border here and then the bottom one. Both of these are just fusion compositions. You can see all it is a black background. With the fast noise node, you can copy these settings, and that's all it is. The rest of it is a burn away transition, which is completely free. If you look up burn away under video transitions, it's right here. And this is what it looks like by default. But I changed the settings a bunch to make it look like this. So if I click on this transition and it highlights red, I can go into the inspector tab, and you can see these are the settings I changed it to. You can copy all of my settings. So just pause it here if you need to. And then here is the bottom one. I'm pretty sure I did like the same settings. Copy them if you need to. And then all you have to do is make it the exact length that I made it. So it's gonna be like the same exact length as this fusion clip, like almost 2 seconds. And then all I did was highlighted all of the clips, and then I clicked new compound clip. And then that's how I get this clip. And then now that it's in my media pool, I can go into the fusion page and then drag it in here. This is what the media in one is. It's this compound clip, and it has the green screen behind it, of course. And also it went a little too fast, so I slowed it down with time speed, made it 0.67 speed, and keyed out the green screen. So you can see here, it was green, and then keyed it out with the delta key. You just click, hold, and drag this eyedropper tool onto the green, and it gets rid of it. And that puts it onto its own image plane, and that goes into the Merge 3D. And after that, you have the text, the richest man in the world text. So you can see, if I pull up the final result, the text kind of wipes in from the left to the right. And this is done using a rectangle. So you can see a rectangle is put right here, and it goes from the left and then moves to the right. You can copy all my settings for the rectangle, and that is plugged into the text node. Again, it's the same font. You can copy my settings on the layout for the size, and I think I also rotated the Z a little bit, and then I added the same red glow and put it onto an image plane. Now after that, we have this guy in the front here. Firstly, it's just like a PNG of a businessman, then color curves on him to do some color correcting so you can see before and after, and put that onto an image plane. So if I pull up the Merge 3D, we have the background. I'll get to that in a second. And then the text is a little bit in front of that, and then those borders, and then the guy in front. So basically all I'm doing here is just clicking on the image plane of each one, and I'm moving the ones that I want to be in front, and then moving the ones back all the way to the back with this like arrow here. Or you can go into the transform and just change the Z value of it. And when you change the Z value, obviously it's going to get bigger because it's closer to the camera. So if you want to put something more in front, you do need to make it smaller. As you can see, this needs to be smaller than this because it's closer to the camera. And I changed the size of it using this scale. And if you press 2 on the media out 1, this will just show you the final result. So you can just check if everything lines up. And if it does, then you're good to go. After that, we have this green screen of money falling. I just found it on YouTube by looking up something like that. Delta keyer to key out the green, then some color corrector to make the money more green. And I put it on image plane. This one is in front of everything. You can see it's right here. Then after that, we have this city background. I just found this on Google and then color corrected it to look blue and then put it in the background. That's my scene basically set up. And then now there's just some camera work that I did. So if I press 1 on the Merge 3D, you can see everything. And you can see the camera is right here. it starts back here. So if I click on it, you can see there's an animation on the Z value. So it starts at this value and then it slowly moves forward to this value here, just like in the Magnates Media animation. And then I added the same camera shake after the render 3D to just give it some more movement. Now, before we get into the third section, there was a money transition that Magnates Media did. You can go check the original example, or maybe I'll put it on the screen here. But I did my best to copy it. All I did was just took like a bunch of pictures of dollar bills. Like for example, I took the $100 bill, like just different dollar bills. You can also take different currency, it doesn't really matter. And then I just like put all of them after each other and zoomed them in and then rotated them different ways to kind of switch it up a little bit. First one goes for like 5 frames, and then the next one is a little bit shorter, and then the next one is also 5 frames, and then the second and the fourth dollar bill is like the same length, and the first and third is the same length. And then I put a film burn over that. You can look up film burns on YouTube, but if you want the one I have specifically, again, you need to go in the description and join that group and you get access to all the assets I used. So it's basically just a bunch of pictures of money rotated in different ways until it changes the clip, then it ends. And then I have a film burn over that, so it looks like this. Now let's get into the third section. If I press the Fusion page, you can see it's a pretty similar setup to the other ones. So this is my scene. You have smoke all the way in the back here. I'll get to that in a second. But for the background, we got these like factory smoke stacks. This is just the closest thing I could find to what Magnates Media used. Then I got some time speed at 0.65 speed to slow it down because it was going a little too fast. And then after that, I merged in a black background and turned the apply mode to soft light. So normally it's just completely black, but if I turn it on soft light, it just gave it a different look. It was just closer to the one that Magnates Media used. So like if I drag this out, this is what it looks like normally, but then it looks like this. And the color corrector to make it black and white. And then I put that on an image plane. It's all the way in the back here. Next thing is the picture of Andrew Carnegie. So as you can see, it's just a PNG of him that I found online. And there's the same exact PNG merged on top of it. So it's 2 of the same exact picture, except the first one has a rectangle mask connected to it. And the rectangle is actually connected to the top layer of Andrew Carnegie, which is at full opacity. And then the layer under, which is the same picture, is at like half opacity about. You can see it's 0.425. And the rectangle is just getting rid of the full opacity one as the flag is coming down, and this is just exactly like in the animation that Magnates Media did. So I just keyframed each like point to kind of look like when the flag is coming down, it's making him transparent. And that is connected to an image plane, which is slightly in front of the American flag. And then we get to this compound clip, which is the American flag. And if you remember the 2 black borders with like the jagged edges, it's pretty much the same thing, except I put under like an American flag stock footage. So let me pull this up in the compound clip that I used. You can see this is like the original like stock footage that I got. I just found it on YouTube, and this is the compound clip. So if I drag it out, I originally started with these clips. If I decompose this compound clip, I started with these 2. So first on the bottom is the slow motion like USA flag waving, and on top of it is the fusion composition with the burn away transition, same one as I used in the second section. I talked about it, and you can copy my settings, pause it here if you need to. And on the fusion composition, it's literally just a green background, so that's for the green screen part of it. And yeah, that's it. There's nothing else added. All it is just the green screen background and then the burn away transition on top of it. And then you just highlight it, right click on it and click new compound clip, and then you'll get the same one that I had. Go back into the Fusion page. You can see I actually do something unique with this one. So it doesn't come in right at the start. And normally when you put in this compound clip, it will come in right at frame 0. But to move it over here, because that's what I need to do, I went to the keyframes tab, highlighting on this compound clip. And then you open the drop down, or you just highlight it on it. Then you click zoom to fit, and you can see frame 0 is right here. So frame 0 correlates to frame 0 right here. And you basically, the clip is going to be at frame 0 if you just drag it in, but you can just click, hold, and drag, and you'll get this icon, and you can move it around to whatever part you want it to start at. So I lined it up to the actual like Magnates Media intro, and I decided to start it at frame 163. And then also this text that I kind of skipped over is the same exact text I'm using for the entire intro. Same font, same glow, all of that is copy and pasted. And actually no animation is done with the text. It's just kind of there behind his head, so pretty simple. You can copy my settings with like the line spacing and everything. And then we went over the compound clip. Of course, I delta keyed the green screen out. And then on top of that, we have this smoke transition green screen. The reason why there's two of them is because there's actually two right here. And I'll get to the camera animation I did in a second. But you can see the camera actually starts in front of these two smoke pillars and then it moves back. And you can see right as the camera is going behind those smoke like pillars, which I found on YouTube, by the way, for completely free. You just need to know what to search up. And then the camera moves all the way back until it reveals the smoke, and it looks like this pretty much. And both of these are just like green screens. That's what they look like. Delta keyed the green screen out and then put them on an image plane. And of course, since I made them way in front of everything, they had to be really small, as I talked about before. And for the camera animation, we have it start in the front right here. So it's like pretty much barely big enough to show like the full text and Andrew Carnegie. And in the transform node, these are my settings, so you can copy them. And then it goes all the way back to the end and moves to these settings. So I think I animated some different coordinates here. It kind of starts like at an angle here. You can see it's a little bit on the left and looking to the right. And then it straightens out at the end. So that was just my attempt to copy the Magnates Media one. And then of course we have our render 3D, which allows us to turn the 3D back into 2D. And then a camera shake is pretty much the same camera shake I used for the other two sections. So people who are asking for videos of me just like editing from beginning to end, like pretty much I show everything that I did. You can find it in that group. It's only $47 a month, and then you also get monthly calls, and I explain everything in the video there. And if you are an entrepreneur of some sort and you want to grow your YouTube channel, go check out the second link in the description and see if you're a good fit to work with us.